Hey, what is up guys? It's your boy Speed here, and today we're going to be looking at Pugna. Pugna has been really seeing a major rise in pick rate and win rate as of late, and it primarily comes down to the Facet Siphoning ward. If you don't know anything about it, well, this video is going to be talking largely about why this is one of the best facets in the game, and why Pugna is becoming a super popular and very relevant hero in the pro scene, and why maybe you should be picking it in your pubs as well. I think Pugna is one of the most stable heroes in Dota. It can play almost any lane, it can have impact in any game, and so let's get into it. On top of that, go sign up to the Game League website, guys. I'm posting new content over there almost every day, and I'll see you there. So what Snake King does is a cute little trick you can do at the start of the game where you can start the game with boots, and if you have your courier follow you, you'll notice his courier is running off ahead. You can use the boots movement speed with a smoke or without to get to the map, out on the map as fast as you can to place the ward before your enemy. This basically prevents your smoke from breaking on them so that they don't see that you're placing the ward. It's pretty funny, right? The courier is going to go back, it's going to sell the boots for him because it's a pretty big window. I think it's like 45 seconds or something like that. And it allows you to get down a very deep ward. But what's really funny, this game is what happens here. I don't know, this is one of the funniest things I've seen in a while. He goes back to the lane, he's in one of the most defensive positions on the map. Like, you never expect to die here. And Heroic is just here. His courier gets sniped with all of his items, and he dies for first blood. So, yeah, hey, if Snake King's doing it, it's got to be good. All right, so in the laning stage, Pugna is pretty straightforward and very powerful. He has some of the highest movement speed in the game at 330, some of the highest attack range in the game at 630, which is 30 higher than most ranged heroes, so you generally can outtrade them, and a very strong level 1 nuke. Nether Blast is only a 5-second cooldown, so you can use it to trade and secure the range creep all in the same wave. You will have mana problems if you do this, which is why starting items tend to include a ton of stats or a stick. What he's doing here is kind of just a well-rounded trading build: Blood Grenade, 3 branches, 6 tangos, Fairy Fire. Sometimes you'll see a circlet instead of the Fairy Fire in a branch. Sometimes you'll see a stick, and instead of 6 tangos, you'll see 3, right? And a stick instead of the tangos and a Fairy Fire, some sort of variation like that. And yeah, typically what you're going to do is just sit on the side of the position 4 and hit them off cooldown. Then when the range creep is coming up, you're going to nuke the range creep and rinse repeat. So next, let's talk about Siphoning ward and Nether ward usage in the lane. It's actually a little bit hard to use Nether ward in the lane because people can actively not cast abilities when it's down, but that's actually the value of it. So you'll see in this clip here, he's trading with the Visage, and the Visage wants to use Soul Assumption, right? Makes sense. You gave him a bunch of charges, he wants to use the nuke. Snake King, expecting this, puts down the Nether ward. This, of course, is going to deal damage based on how much mana is spent by the enemy. That's how Nether ward works. It does 50 base damage and then 1 damage per mana. So certain abilities that cost a lot of mana really kill the user of the ability. But what is really key here? It's Siphoning ward. So the damage that is dealt by Nether ward converts 30% of it to health and 40% to mana, which is absurd because Nether ward is one of the highest damage abilities in the game. I mean, Nether ward literally can out damage entire heroes if it's a good Nether game. And I'm not over exaggerating. Like, look at the end game stats of Pugna. Typically, it is one of the highest, if not the highest damage ability in the match. And so yeah, you're going to put it down here. And the Grave Chill, look at this. This is pretty cool, right? So he ends up Grave Chilling him on Visage, and that immediately gives him, what was it, 60 mana? 56 mana, 42 health. That's a lot, guys. The ability itself costed 80. And so one ability gives you more than half of the cost back and a bunch of health. And now the Batrider doesn't want to cast DNA Pump, he doesn't use Soul Assumption, and bad players, they're not going to think about it. They're just going to start spamming you with nukes, and they will never win the trade. They will never commit on you well. So if you know a fight's going to break out, or you know they want to cast a certain ability, plop down the Nether ward, and they can't trade into you. It's going to give you all of your mana back and a ton of health. And that's why in terms of items, it's all about becoming tanky on this hero. You're going to notice his first few items. I mean, he buys raindrops largely because it's the Visage counter, but raindrops in general in Pugna are really broken. You have quite a bit of mana problems in the early game. Even though Nether ward gives you some back, it's still not enough to cover your Q spam. So yeah, you want the HP from raindrops because it helps you stay alive, so the Nether ward kicks in. And it also just gives you mana, which is really, really useful. In terms of skill build, I think it depends on the game. He ends up going 202 this game, which, you know, more points in the Nether ward means more healing with Siphoning ward. It's obviously good. However, Decrep is a decent ability in some games. If you're laning against something like Tusk, I played this exact matchup recently, and I skilled Decrep at level 2. I wanted to deal with the tag team. Nether ward, while it's sort of useful against Tusk, it's a bit hard to react to something like tag team or shards, right? You're going to have to, like, frame perfect cast it, which is just way too difficult. So it's much easier in that matchup to skill Decrep. However, in most games, I do think that the easier and more effective build is to just max Netherward. It goes up in duration, it goes up in damage, up in base damage. It definitely scales pretty well. On top of that, Decrep is actually one of the worst abilities in the game with cast range. It's only 475 cast range at level 1. It scales all the way up to 700, which is when it's actually really good. But at level 1, it's pitiful. It actually puts you out of position to save people, and that's why a lot of players have started skipping it. So for early game gameplay, I would say the main thing you want to do is push towers. It's something Pugna has always done, right? Nether Blast takes towers. This is a surprise to almost no one if you've been watching my videos, but it's better than ever now. And for the simple reason that Netherward is just broken. Like, this is going to be the main theme of the video. Netherward is broken, and so if people try to go on you, it just doesn't work. If you play against Pugna, you need to actively kill the Netherward. In fact, I think one of the coolest answers to Pugna in the game right now is something like Snapfire, where you can use Lil Shredder to one-shot the Netherward. However, Pugna can decrep the Netherward, so it's not that straightforward. It's quite a mind game there. But yeah, if they don't kill the Netherward, they can't kill you. And that's why he's just taking the mid-tower. I'm going to go back here quickly, 20 seconds. All right, he's just sieging, and there's very little they can do about it. Again, if they try to kill him, he's just going to plop down the Netherward, and it won't work. Or they'll take 1 billion damage trying, and it basically won't be worth it at that point. So yeah, take towers, guys. Just walk up to towers and try to force a fight. If they fight his Netherward, it's probably going to be favorable. And yeah, after taking mid-tower, he's going to walk to top, puts down a ward, look at his items, completed wand, raindrops. You should always have both these items. Then he's going mana boots. Nothing crazy here. It's good to buy blood grenades too. The health is super, super good. Right, you don't even have to use them. Like, just buying them for health is nice. But nuking the tower here, plops down another ward, and you're going to see in a fight like this, guys, it gets crazier as the game progresses. I mean, this is only 2 points in Nether Ward, and people aren't casting nearly as many spells, and the spells cost less mana because there's less skill points. But still, right, look at his mana pool at the start of the fight. 340. After he casts Q in a moment from here, 282. And once people start casting abilities, 368, 453, he's full HP during Magnetize. Like, look, this Magnetize, it looks like it's healing it. I mean, straight up, it looks like he's being healed. And he started the fight at 200 mana, casted multiple nukes, 2 nukes? And he has, 200 more mana? This is why Pugna is insane. Old Pugna would have ran out of mana mid-fight. Absolutely, right? You would have had to just do nothing. Now, new Pugna just gets to heal his Storm because he's full HP after getting Magnetized and can give Storm full mana or full health, right? Keep in mind when you're healing people on Pugna, it heals their HP first, and if they're full HP, it will give them mana, which is why this is one of the strongest combos in the game right now, which is Pugna Storm, because you can give your Storm a lot of mana back. It's a very cool combo. It used to be even better. It was one of the most broken combos in the game back in the day until they nerfed it, where it's like half. So yeah, it's not as good at restoring mana, but trust me, it's still effective. Now, when you're healing people, you do need to heal yourself afterwards, and make sure you do this, right? He's healing up the Tusk, pretty standard. Then he's gonna go kill a neutral camp, and it's nice, you actually get to farm a little bit while doing this. If you full channel and use a nuke, you can kill off these big creeps. He decides not to here, just wants to be in the action. Mana boots, next item. I personally here like buying 2 blood grenades and a fluffy hat, because of the fact that you just don't want to get bursted. Like, how I see Pugna and how I recommend viewing Pugna is you just want to have a high enough HP pool where if they try to go on you and they catch you off guard, you don't instantly explode and you can get down your Nether Ward. Because then likely you're going to heal and they're going to have to completely overcommit when trying to kill you. Okay, so for his next item, he's going to buy a Glimmer Cape, and let's look at the teamfight execution here. Another thing to note about Pugna that was a change they made recently is you can cast any of your abilities during life drain. So if your Q comes off cooldown during your life drain, you can cast it while you're draining. That can be while healing allies, while damaging enemies, it doesn't really matter. You can cast abilities. So like for instance here, let's say this is a pick off and he doesn't necessarily feel the need to put down Nether Ward right away. He could life drain this guy, the Alk, and this even might be more efficient than what he did. He could life drain the Alk, and then if he's like, oh, the enemy is responding, he can place it down while life draining. So you can kind of min-max these things, and it is really good, right? So that is something to keep in mind. It is something he probably could have done here. Not that placing Nether Ward when he did is that bad. It was fine. It did a bit of damage to Alk because of the acid spray. So that's okay. Again, fight breaks out and he's back up to full mana basically instantly. Earthspear just doesn't understand. And this is kind of the reality of current Pugna. People just don't understand. Pros don't understand. Let alone your average pub player. Pros don't get it. I'm dead serious. They just don't understand how this Facet works. And the fact that if you go on Pugna and you don't kill the ward, you're not killing Pugna. I mean, obviously there's exceptions to this. Things like Vessel really help out. Physical damage, if he doesn't have Decrep skilled, which he didn't until level 8, is actually very good, funny enough. But yeah, he's 800 HP. They go on him here. Another Life Drain onto the Bat Rider, healing up from that. Another Soul Assumption, so he's back up to 828 in the middle of a fight. And it's just insane. Like, this hero is just ridiculous. Now, once you have Glimmer, this is the timing, because now you have Magic Resist. You have this barrier, of course, right? This 300 barrier if they try to go on you. And the barrier also blocks your life drain damage. So if you want to heal allies, you can use Glimmer to avoid taking damage from the life drain. So that's a cool little tip you can use. Yeah, so this fighter right here, I mean, this one actually, it made me laugh a bit when I was first watching it because it just makes no sense. And again, people, they overcommit. This is heroic they're playing against. I mean, you'd think these guys would kind of know how these things work and who they should prioritize, but Earth Spirit cannot kill Pugna. I mean, there is no chance. Now, here's what I recommend in team fights. Focus on healing allies. It's far more reliable, and healing is essentially pure damage, right? Because it doesn't get affected by resistances. If you try to heal enemies, frequently it's going to put you in a slightly more dangerous position, which can be okay. You actually can bait due to this facet. But as I was saying, the life drain on allies is essentially pure damage unless they're affected by certain abilities or vessel or, corrosion, these types of things. So fight breaks out, puts down the Nether Ward, starts to heal up Razor. Very, very standard. It's exactly what you want to do. Ends up getting rolled on, but he's full HP. And this is how the fight's going to continue. Our Spirit's trying his best to kill him, but every single spell casted heals him, so he's just full HP. What is Magnetize? I mean, it's just not an ability. It literally does nothing to Pugna nowadays. Gets hit by the Supernova, that's fine. Life Drain again, probably should have healed. Yeah, he actually misclicked there. I have a feeling he was trying to heal the Razor, not actually use it on their Spirit here, because the best execution in this case would have been to cast Q and heal the Razor. I think it was probably a misclick. They were directly on top of each other, because it does suck that the Razor ends up dying here as he tries to save him with Decrep, but that's not going to do too much against Phoenix Bird and Magnetize. But yeah, he's just full HP, full mana, and that's the life of Pugna. Now, in terms of neutral items, you just want HP. He gets Philosopher's Stone, which, fine. It's gold, it's mana pool. Obviously, it's good on support. It's good on every support. But yeah, I would look for items like Pupil's Gift is probably my favorite, because you're an Int hero. You get 2 armor, right? 15 agi. Some attack speed, which is actually nice, but most importantly, 300 health, which, again, you want to get out of the burst threshold. So items like Pupil's Gift, super help. Now, at level 10, you want to take 2 Nether Ward health. This is a cool part of this build. It makes it even harder for people to deal with this Nether Ward. It takes an extra 2 hits. And at level 15, you get 350 HP. I mean, the other talent is great as well. 30% movement speed allies. Pretty funny. You make your allies zoom when you decrep them. But 350 health is, too hard to pass up. Again, you just want to not get bursted. So these talents are really, really OP. At level 20, either are good. Decrepify Duration is good if they're all physical damage. Life Drain Heal is better if you're just healing allies. I would lean towards the heal. And at 25, Nether Ward damage per mana is straight up broken. I mean, it's always been one of the best talents in the game, because the ability is 1.6 damage per mana, and this ability already does insane damage throughout the game. And this more than doubles the damage per mana. So really broken. And it, of course, heals you for that as well. So Pugna, easily some of the best talents in the entire game. And I'm not just saying that, he truly does. So as the game progresses, a couple of different items you can go. Glimmer Force is good. Glimmer Solar is personally my favorite build. It just kind of gives you a mix of armor, HP, magic resist. And I think when you balance these things out, it makes it very hard for enemies to burst you and itemize against you. So I think Glimmer Solar is the best build. He goes Glimmer Aether, which is fine. Your ability's cast ranges are super terrible. Honestly, all of them are kind of bad, and that is the drawback to Pugna. It actually is a bit clunky to use the crap, especially with this skill build. So it helps with that. It helps with Life Drain. It will stay on allies. It will stay on allies even when they're running away from you. So I get why he's doing this, but I would lean towards, I think the more effective, safer build is just Glimmer into Solar, and then into Force, and then into Aether, like a later Aether is a bit better in my opinion. And finally, the best part about Pugna is the ability to end the game, right? A lot of people complain to me in the comments or my coaching sessions, like, I can't end the game, my team won't siege. I mean, there's no excuse with Pugna, especially more than ever. As I was saying earlier in the video, you don't have to be afraid. When you're going high ground, if you even slightly feel that they can go on you, just put down Nether Ward. And if they initiate on you and you have defensive items, you're not going to die. And even if you do die, let's say they all in and they cast absolutely everything, which probably won't kill you, but let's say they do end up killing you, it's going to cost them so many spells, so much damage from the Nether Wart that it probably will end up in a, in a turn for your team. So yeah, just go high ground, guys. Put down the Nether Wart in a semi-defensive position. I mean, the radius is like absurd. It's a 1400 attack range, right? It's like this thing will hit people from an entire screen away. And so you don't need to put it like into the enemy. Don't put it on the high ground, like put it behind yourself. And yeah, that's going to be all. This hero is really, really powerful. You're going to continue to see pros pick it until they nerf this Siphoning ward, which I think eventually they will, because to me, it looks quite broken. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.
And that's all, but remember, before you leave, come on, before you tune out, subscribe to the Game Leap website, where we are going to help you get to the next rank. If you're stuck, click the link down below, and I'm out. Peace.